Welcome to GTV, and today we're going to speak about how to get that job. Now, first impressions really matter. So dressing smart is the first key. So from a guy's perspective, make sure that you're wearing a suit. And from a female perspective, make sure that you're wearing a long skirt with tights, a nice blouse and a jacket. Now that is very important, because especially when you're going for an interview, you need to show professionalism and look like you mean business. Also, let's look at doing our background checks. Let's make sure we're doing our homework on the client that we're going to see. So from the company that you're going to see for an interview, make sure you do every single thing possible that you need to do to understand exactly, one, where the company is based, two, what the company is about, three, how long they've been going for, and four, overall what they do. That is very paramount and important. You need to look at other areas, which I'll suggest, if possible, give them a call, find out how much staff members they have working there. Also, find out who the directors are, because that will just give you that little bit extra than other candidates that are up against you. So think about that when you're going forward. Also, let's look at our route planning. Let's find out exactly how we can get to where we're going, so we're not late on our interview, because it's very important that we get there 15 minutes before the actual interview, so we're nice and relaxed, we're ready. And if you get offered a drink, say yes, I would like some water, because water obviously cleanses the body, keeps you nice and relaxed. Because if you have a cup of tea or you have coffee, from a tea perspective you're going to be a little bit lethargic, and from a coffee perspective you're going to be super hyper, so you don't want to be too charged. Just nice and relaxed and ready to go in. What we also need to take with us is a notepad and pen, so we're ready to take notes when this interview actually starts. So we are ready, we've arrived, and then we go in. So we now get there, we're waiting patiently, going over our notes, being prepared, and then we're ready to meet the person. So we stand up straight, we make sure our posture is right, we put our hand out for a firm handshake, we keep eye contact at every possible time, and then we sit down and we get ready. What the key thing here is now to listen. Listen is very important when it comes down to the actual interview process, what's going through, and making notes. So while you're listening, you're making notes at the same time. But still, as I said, you make your notes, you keep your eye contact. You make your notes, you keep your eye contact. Very important that we're doing that, because the most important thing is we have to show that we're switched on and we're taking this very seriously. Back to first impressions count. So once we've established that, then it comes to the question side of things, where they will ask you a series of questions. And my advice to you would be honest. Be honest. If you don't understand the question, ask it to be repeated. And just turn around and say you didn't quite understand it. There's no shame in that. One thing you shouldn't do is waffle on. When the interview process is going on and you're asked a question, answer the question that is being asked to you. Don't go off on a tangent and things like that, because companies do not like that. So make sure we are clear and precise in what we're saying, and we're saying it confidently as well. So don't, as I said, blab on and go on the tangent, because companies, they don't like it. So after that point, companies will always ask you a question and say to you, have you got any questions? And my advice to you will be yes. I do have questions. Find out a lot more about the company. Find out about the person that's actually interviewing you. Find out exactly how long they've been at the company. Find out the company's retention rate, how long staff stay there for, because that's a big thing for you to actually know whether you're going to be part of that organisation for a long period of time, or if are they a company that are chopping and changing and hiring and firing, because you don't want to be part of that sort of organisation who are hiring and firing. So you definitely need to look into that. And as I said, find out a lot more about what your interviewer does, how long that person's been in the job, and you're just trying to get a better understanding, and find out a lot more about your role. The job spec's a job spec, but then you need to find out that little bit extra. Is there anything outside the job spec that you'll be expected to do? You would need to find that out as well. So we look at that, we move on to the next stage, and then sometimes this question does come up. It doesn't come up with all employers, but it does sometimes. Do you have any weaknesses? Now, do you have any weaknesses? You need to look at it carefully and see. Now, everybody has a weakness. Nobody is perfect. One of the key things I would say is, look, you're a perfectionist, and at the end of the day, being a perfectionist isn't always a benefit. you know, you can see it as a negative, and, you know, obviously you're going to miss one or two things. So that's one thing I would say, you know, you need to look at. You know, you're someone that always strives to do better. You know, it may not be seen as a negative and a weakness, but at least you're saying something that isn't, you know, the obvious, or you're not saying anything detrimental to yourself. Never say, I do not have a weakness, because every single person has a weakness. So with the series of questions, you know, they will ask you things, and as I said, be clear and precise in exactly what you're saying. Part 1.